Hello, all YouTube viewers. My name is Dennis Ramsey, world famous folk artist. I live in Kempfeltown, Nova Scotia, Canada. Please come buy my paintings in 2018. I sell folk art paintings, abstract art paintings. They cost only $100 to $200 each. I paint pictures of peoples, landscapes, animals, fishing boats, fishes. I paint pretty much everything. Witches, Frankensteins, devils, naked women. I paint pretty much everything. And if I ain't got it here, I'll gladly paint it for you, whatever your request is. Anyhow, you can call me at 902-365-5044 or come visit me at 27 Canaan, C-A-N-A-A-N Avenue, Apartment B, Kempfel, Yellow House, White Trim. I live in the upstairs apartment. Knock loud on the door, please. Anyhow, today's topic is Canadian homeless peoples. The Canadian homeless peoples freeze to death in the wintertime because of our government's neglect. The federal government needs to spend $2 or $3 billion on the Canadian homeless peoples. Many homeless peoples freeze to death in Halifax, New Brunswick, Quebec, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, every province in Canada. We need to get more housing for our Canadian homeless peoples, please. Justin Trudeau, if you're watching this video, please spend $2 or $3 billion on the Canadian homeless peoples so they have a place to live and some warm food in their belly. Anyhow, the provincial government and federal government need to stop neglecting the homeless Canadians. These homeless peoples need a house or a home and warm food in their belly. It's sad to see homeless peoples freeze to death in Canada. Everybody brags about Canada. Oh, Canada's the wealthiest country in the world. Oh, it's the greatest place in the world. Oh, let's give China 20 million. Oh, here's another 10 million for Korea. Let's give 30 million to Japan. Well, that's all fine and dandy. But why not take 20 or 30 million for the Canadian homeless peoples and get them some housing? How about that one? Internationally, yes, we look good. We give away 30 million to the United Nations and Japan or some country that's had a flood or a disaster. Yet in Canada, we got a big disaster here. The homeless peoples in Canada freeze to death every winter. Yet we ain't got 20 or 30 million for them, but we can give that to a foreign country. There's something wrong there, brother. What about the Canadian homeless peoples? Let's take 1 or 2 billion and get housing for all the Canadian homeless peoples. How about that one? This is Dennis Ramsey's opinion, and I know I'm right. Anyhow, the Canadian homeless peoples freeze to death in every province of Canada. And that's because of our provincial government neglect and our federal government neglect. Let's stop neglecting the homeless Canadians and get them housing and lodging and warm food in their belly and medicines. Many homeless peoples freeze to death underneath bridges, on sidewalks, in cardboard boxes, and freeze to death in corners of buildings, and they squat in run-down old buildings and freeze to death in there also. Let's get housing for our Canadian homeless peoples, please. This plea is going out to the federal government of Canada, the provincial government of Canada, and also to the millionaires and billionaires who could gladly donate some of their millions to get housing for our Canadian homeless peoples. Anyhow, please subscribe to all my videos on the YouTube channel. There's talking videos, singing videos, and art videos. Anyhow, the homeless peoples of Canada need housing. I was homeless once for 2 years. I slept outdoors for 2 years back in the 1970s. And boy, that was rough. Can you imagine yourself sleeping out in the wintertime? You know, it's rough. It really is. I slept in old cars. I slept in apartment building doorways. I slept by hospitals. I slept in bus depots. Anywhere where there was a little bit of warmth. Dennis Ramsay spent 2 years homeless, and I know what it's like. And believe me, it's hell on wheels. It's hell. No food, no warmth, and nobody gives a shit about you when you're homeless. And I know it, because I've been there. So let's get the Canadian homeless people's housing, and a warm place to sleep, and warm food in their belly, and medicines. Come on, federal government, provincial government, spend a few billion on our Canadian homeless peoples. I lived on sandwiches for 2 years straight, just so I wouldn't starve to death. And I was homeless for 2 years in the 70s, and I lived on sandwiches for 2 years. And I know how rough it is to be homeless. It's terrible. And not only that, you feel hopeless. There's no hope in sight. Anyhow, let's get our Canadian men and women homes that are homeless. Many men and women freeze to death every winter in Canada, and that's a goddamn shame. And there's no goddamn need of it. The federal government, you could spend a few billion on housing for our homeless Canadians. And the provincial government, you could do that too. I slept under steps. I slept in bus depots. I slept in apartment buildings in the doorways. I slept by hospitals. And anywhere where there was a little bit of shelter. I slept on park benches and pretty much everywhere. Anyhow, let's get housing for Canadian homeless peoples in 2018. That is my message. Anyhow, I had a rough life, rougher than most people. I was an orphan back in the 70s. I spent 6 years in institutions, not because I was bad, it's because I needed a place to live. Back in the 1970s, that's what they did with the orphans. You know, I spent time in mental hospitals, reform school, group homes, foster homes. I never had a functional upbringing. I had a very dysfunctional upbringing. And sometime I'll tell you the horror stories, what I went through sometime. I'll do a video about that. Anyhow, let's get our Canadian homeless people's housing. That's my message today. The Canadian homeless peoples freeze to death every winter, and that's a goddamn shame. Because of our federal government and our provincial government neglecting the homeless Canadians. Let's put a stop to it in 2018. Anyhow, if you ever want a folk art painting, call me at 902-365-5044, or come visit me at 27 Canaan, C-A-N-A-A-N Avenue, Apartment B, Kempful, Yellow House, White Trim. I live in the upstairs apartment. Knock loud on the door, please. Anyhow, subscribe to all my videos on the YouTube channel. There's art videos, singing videos, and talking videos. I make these short films because it's a hobby. That's the other hobby I got, is making short films. Anyhow, I love pen paling. So all you pen pal women out there, 19 to 60, write Dennis Ramsay a letter, 27 Canaan, so spell that one, C-A-N-A-A-N Avenue, Apartment B, Kempful, Nova Scotia. Postcode is B4N2A7. Anyhow, my message today is let's get housing for our Canadian homeless peoples so the men and women don't freeze to death in Canada in 2018. I'd appreciate your help and support. Anyhow, I do folk art painting and abstract art painting. My paintings sell for $100 to $200 each. All you middle-class folks and millionaires and billionaires, and some of you people got more money than brains, come buy some of my paintings. Help out starving artist Dennis Ramsey. I've been selling folk art paintings since 1984. I started painting really in 1979, but I didn't start selling them until '84. Anyhow, please come buy my paintings. I'd appreciate that. You all have a nice day. Take care. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. And let's get housing for the homeless Canadians in 2018. Canada is supposed to be a rich country or a wealthy country, yet we give 30 million away to foreign countries. Oh, here Japan, here's 20 million. Here China, here's 30 million. India, here's 20 million. Why not take all that money and get housing for our Canadian peoples that freeze to death in the wintertime? Like I said before, I was homeless for 2 years straight back in the 70s. I slept outdoors. I slept in old cars, in apartment building doorways, bus depots. I slept by hospitals where they had heat vents outside the hospitals. I slept under steps. I slept in parks. And I'll tell you, I was just goddamn well lucky I didn't have my throat slit or I didn't freeze to death. Just lucky. Good grace of God, that's all I can say. You have a nice day. Bye for now. Bye, bye, bye.